Hey guys, Greg Alexander. Just getting home from the Oneida Bass Northern Open and finished 43rd out of 225 guys that paid 40 places, so it was a big ouch for me, especially the fact that I rolled one on a spinnerbait that was clearly over 4 pounds anyhow, which would have moved me well up into a paycheck in this tournament, but that's fishing, right? So I only lost 2 fish in the tournament, so I can't complain. Just happened to be a good one, and another one that wasn't, wasn't a special fish, 2 pounds maybe. But so I have attached here in this video today some on the water fish catches and a little bit of explanation of what's going on. Then after these fish catches for the final day for me, day 2, I'm going to do a complete tournament recap, what my mindset was, what worked for me, what didn't work for me, the things that I tried in practice, the things that worked, the things that didn't work, and what I learned for any future tournaments on the lake. The tournament I fished there last year was the worst open tournament I ever fished as far as my results go. So I made a big improvement over last year. So stay tuned for this on the water video of some fish catches for me for day 2 of the tournament, and then after that we'll do a recap.
Just around that rock, wasn't it? Get in there. Thank you, Lord. Just dumb fishing. Just dumb fishing. Goodness. Dumb fishing. What, 3 3/4 maybe?
Hey guys, so what you see me doing here in this next clip is in practice in this big grass bed. There was a little bit of eelgrass, a little bit of cabbage, a little bit of everything mixed in there, shallow, 5, 6 feet up to 2 feet. Is I found a couple of areas of cluster bluegill beds in this grass bed, and in practice I had caught a couple fish around them. So I went over to these clusters of bluegill beds to see if they were back there, and this is what happens.
Get in here. And a big fish. He ain't that big, but I like him. Ain't that big, but I like him. T-boned it. Fish number 2 here, about a 2-pounder. Just one lucky one. He's a fighter for a little bit, nothing. Keeper though. Yep. Another keeper on a Jason Christie covert spinnerbait. There's a 3-pounder in the grass. All right guys, just caught my 5th fish. Got about 12 pounds is all I got right now. Still got 3 hours and 20 minutes to fish, so I'm gonna go at it hard. I know I need at least probably 17 to make the top 10 tomorrow, would be my guess, at least 17. So I need to get rid of my 2 little ones with 2 big ones. If I can do that, I'll be in good shape. That little bitty one. Ain't a big one, but I like him. Fish number 6 calls a little bitty one.
So let's just break down the tournament. I got there on Saturday, about 10 o'clock in the morning, and went fishing till dark that day. The first day of practice, I caught about 16 pounds plus, a mixture of largemouth and smallmouth. If you haven't watched the video for day 1 practice, you go back and watch the video for day 1 practice. I have that posted. So my mindset after day 1 was, well, they're biting pretty good. I should be able to expand on the things that I found. Day 1, I fished 20 foot to 2 foot and caught them in, well, probably 17 and a half was the deepest fish, and 2 foot was the shallowest fish. Caught them on a Zara spook, 2 big ones, a big largemouth and a big smallmouth on a white Zara spook. And I caught them on a D-bomb, green pumpkin, and I caught some on a drop shot with a half-shelled max set power bait on there, green pumpkin. Day 2 of practice, I had 4 bites all day long, and they were all largemouth. Never had a smallmouth bite on day 2. Fished a lot of smallmouth stuff. Fished a lot of humps. Fished a lot of points. Fished a lot of rock piles. Fished a lot of grass edges. Saw a few swimming here. Saw a few swimming there. And when he got up shallow, could not catch a smallmouth day 2. So my mindset was, man, I hope I don't have to fish for largemouth, because largemouth, you know, generally don't win a tournament there now. Years ago, when the lake had more color to it, the largemouth bite was more, I guess, you're more likely to be able to win an extended, more than 1 day tournament with largemouth. Now, it doesn't seem like you can do that. Maybe you can, maybe you can, you know, but it just doesn't seem like you can do that now. The smallmouth have just gotten too big. There's a lot of 3.5 to 4.25 pound smallmouth in the lake, and the largemouth, there's a lot of 2 to 3.5 pound largemouth in the lake. So you're only probably going to average over 3 days with largemouth. If you're lucky, you're only going to probably average, you know, 15 pounds, maybe a little better. And if you're on a rate smallmouth, you're going to average 16 to 17 pounds. So you can see you're going to lose by a pound a day. By the end of the tournament, you're going to be 3 to 6 pounds back of the winner if you had a good tournament with largemouth. So anyhow, but I wasn't writing it off. And so then I went out day 3 of practice and never fished anything that I would consider to be a largemouth type spot. Never even fished it. I said, I gotta figure out these smallmouth. And I ran, it was a pretty good day as far as the weather went. It was one of the nicest, it wasn't the nicest day of practice, Monday. Calm, wind came up a little bit in the afternoon, but nothing but a chop. You could do whatever you wanted to do. And I fished till, again, I have the video out there, day 3 of practice. I fished till like 10:30 in the morning, never had a bite. And I pulled up on one little isolated hump that topped out at 20 feet on top with 30 foot of water around it, and had, you know, caught one good one, and then had 3 other bites in like 10, 15 minutes total of being there on that hump. And I thought, well, they're on this one, so let's go find some more that look like this. And so I ran 20 more humps. Caught 1 more fish on 20 more humps. And this is what I find with Oneida that is so maddening to me. It's like you'll catch them doing something and then think, oh, well, that's what I have to do. And then you start running that, and then you don't get another bite. And then you catch them doing something else, and you go, oh, well, that's what they're doing. And you start running that, and you don't get another bite. It's a weird lake. It's like you just can't it's almost like the fish are like almost unpatternable. It's like they're just one here and one there. And it's probably got a lot to do with the pressure. You know, there's been 2 big tournaments on the lake already, plus our tournament with 225 boats, 450 anglers, a lot of co-anglers out there fishing, plus the local pressure on the lake. Anything on that map on your GPS, anything on that map that looks good, as soon as you get done fishing it and leave, somebody else pulls up on it and fishes it. And as soon as they get done, somebody else pulls up on it and fishes it. So I think the way to probably approach smallmouth fishing on Oneida once the tournament season has started and the pressure has started is you have to be able to fish those in-between spots. And you know, that's easier said than done, because you can put your side imaging on and you can spot a hard patch or a rock pile here, and there's miles and miles and miles and miles and miles of it. So you almost just need to fish for weeks almost to stack up enough spots that aren't bullseyes on your GPS mapping to be able to run them in a multiple day tournament. And that's hard to do with somebody like me, who the only 2 times I've been to Oneida were last year's Open and this year's Open. You know, and then you got, you know, a lot of locals or guys with a lot of experience there and a lot of waypoints who can run this stuff. So my 4th day of practice, I ran up the river. Again, I've got a separate video of day 4 of practice. Day 4 of practice, the wind blew, howled out of the east. And we launched on the west end of the lake. So by the time the wind got to this end of the lake, you know, there was 2 to 3 footers first thing in the morning. And I ran as far as the islands from the boat ramp, and it was getting snotty. And I thought, you know, I'm just not up to this today. So I just, from those islands in, I drifted a couple spots that I marked to see if I could pick up on something, and made 5 or 6 or 7 drifts over different areas with a drift sock and never got bit. And I thought, well, today's the day. If I'm going to go in that river and check it, I need to go in that river and check it. So I went in that river and I spent the rest of the day, almost the rest of the day, in the river. And you'll see the attached video. I did pretty good. They say you can't catch them in there this time of year. I did pretty darn good in there. I had, you know, like over 16 pounds probably. So I thought, well, I got that in my pocket if I can't figure these smallmouth out. So then the last day of practice, I don't think I have a video of that. It was a half a day. I completely committed to trying to figure these smallmouth out again. And I never had a bite smallmouth fishing. Not one bite the last day of practice smallmouth fishing. So at this point, my mindset is, the only thing I can do that I have any confidence in whatsoever is to go largemouth fishing. So before we finish the recap, some of you might be thinking, well, what did you try in practice? Well, I wrote it down because I had to write it down because I tried so many different things. I tried drop shotting, X zone, bait, slammers in several different colors, flatworms in several different colors, half shell max scent baits in several different colors, Z2s in different colors, twitch shads in different colors, gulp minnows, through tubes, different weights, different depths, football jigs with hula grubs, a hula grub, football jig with crawl baits on the back of it, crankbaits in different colors, sizes, depth range, actions, flat side, round, jerk baits, deep jerk baits, shallow jerk baits, minnow looking jerk baits, perch looking jerk baits, Carolina rig, with different baits on the back of it, speed crawl and different things. And I fished several other things besides that, some top water through a buzz bait for a while, through poppers, caught a few on the Zara spook, doing that very few, not enough to pattern it. And I fished, like I said, from 2 foot to 30 foot of water. So these are some of the baits that I tried. I tried it around sandbars, I tried it around rock bars, I tried it around isolated boulders, rubble piles, drop-offs, slow drop-offs, tapering points, deep, steep points, turns into points, long shoals, humpy shoals, buoy markers, just everything you can think of, ways that you should be able to catch a smallmouth bass. I think I tried, and I guess I wasn't holding my mouth right for the smallmouth in this tournament, because something should have worked and it just didn't work. And I know some of these guys that caught them really good, you know, the first 2 or 3 hours in the morning they caught them and they were done. So if you didn't find something, even though you're there practicing for 4.5 days like me, if you didn't get on the right areas during the bite window, you don't know what you had. See, that's what makes it so difficult sometimes with a limited amount of practice on a place and a lot of pressure, which makes the fish act funny. So I had found a bunch of largemouth last year in practice that I was never able to fish for in the tournament because the wind creamed it both days of that tournament, day 1 and day 2, literally creamed it. And so I thought, well, I've got that I could go to. A lot of it I haven't even fished. You know, I was like, well, no need to fish in practice because I know they kind of live in those type of areas. So I didn't fish a lot of those areas in practice this year. And I had found, you know, the river fish, I thought, and I had found several other areas, docks, some grass and some shallow areas that were holding some pretty good largemouth. And I thought, well, I think I could probably scrape out 16 or 17 pounds a day on largemouth, definitely get myself a check. And, you know, if I got lucky and caught a couple big ones, you know, you never know. And I knew last year, which to me, it seemed like last year was fishing tougher, or this year was fishing tougher than last year, for me anyhow, in practice. Last year in practice, I could catch the smallmouth pretty good, pretty easy, some nice ones too. I was catching big ones on top. I was catching big ones on a drop shot. I had a couple areas I felt like weren't getting hammered, but it got blown out in the tournament. So last year it only took 11 pounds a day, like 22 pounds and change for 2 days to cash a check. So I thought, well, if I can get 15 a day, I'll easy, you know, cash a check, probably put myself top 20 contention. And based on my practice, it felt that tough to me. Well, so here comes the first day of the tournament. And I run up the river thinking, well, I'll just go up there and catch those 3 to 4 pounders I caught in the river. I'm boat 5, I got first shot at it. This ought to be easy. Ran up that river, fished up there for 2.5 or 3 hours, me and my partner, and never had a bite. Not one single bite in the river. So I thought, well, that stinks. So then I just started running shallow docks and shallow grass and ended up catching what I caught. Haven't seen the video. I have a video day 1 of the tournament. Shows my fish catches for day 1. Not all of them, some of them. And so day 2 of the tournament comes around, or day 1, they catch 4,000 pounds worth of fish. I mean, everybody whacked them. I mean, they whacked them. I think I was in 30th place with 16 pounds and 14 ounces after day 1. And there was 50 people that had over 15 pounds behind me. You know, if you had under 15 pounds, you were like in the hundreds, you know, under 100th place or less. They whacked them. So it showed out. And part of the reason it showed out is the wind didn't blow. Wind doesn't blow. You know, you can fish everybody. The lake's wide open. You can fish anything you want to fish when the wind doesn't blow there. You know, if you're a largemouth fisherman, you can fish largemouth on any bank, any place. Smallmouth, you can fish any hump, any place. You're not getting blown off of it. You can pinpoint your rock piles. You can pinpoint your spots. So it really showed out. And I was surprised. I was really surprised. I thought, you know, with what I had based on practice, I thought I'd be a little better off, and I thought there'd be a lot of 9 to 12 pound bags, and it showed out. So day 2 of the tournament comes. All I can do is go largemouth fishing again, because I just haven't found any smallmouth that I found that I thought were reliable for me. And I struggled in the morning. As you can see in this video earlier, that first fish I caught, it was pushing 10 o'clock, you know, before I caught that first fish. And then I caught 2 on a spinnerbait pretty quick after that, and had 3. And then I caught 1 in the shallow grass, and that was number 4. And I started to relax a little bit, and then the wind picked up. And I thought, well, that's gonna mess up, you know, it's gonna mess these docks up, and it's gonna mess this shallow grass up, because when the wind's blowing on the docks, it does 2 things. First, they don't like getting sloshed around in it and move off of it. Second of all, you can't make the skip cast you need to make sometimes in those waves. And then in the grass, anybody knows you fish shallow grass, when it starts waving, the fish wave bye-bye, and they leave it. So I was thinking, oh no. And so I picked the spinnerbait up, threw it across the point of this one grass point, and rolled a big one, which you just saw, or I just talked about in my video attached here. And so then I just went looking for the calmest spot that I could find. And I got tucked in behind a bank that wasn't real windy, with some docks and shallow stuff, and caught number 5 under a pontoon boat, and number 6 on another dock. And then I went out on kind of windy-ish area, but not real windy, and picked the spinnerbait up again and caught number 7, and called with that one, and got rid of that 2-pounder I had. I had a 1.5 pound and a 2-pounder. I got rid of that 2-pounder, and then fished around, went back, tried that big fish again, didn't catch him. And then I thought, well, I'm gonna go to this deeper grass, because this deeper grass is less affected by the wind. Matter of fact, deeper grass, as you may or may not know, when I'm talking deeper, it's not coming up to the surface. In 6 to 9 foot of water, there was some cabbage and some hydrilla and all kinds of grass, some I don't even know what it is, down there that I caught some fish in practice. And so I went to that knowing that the wind wasn't going to affect that deeper grass. If anything, it was going to pull the fish out of the grass and put them on top. And we went over there, my co-angler caught his 2nd and 3rd fish. We caught a couple pike, and I flipped up a 3-pounder and called one with about 15 minutes to go in the day. That was fish number 8. Weighed in 14 something, 14.3 or something like that. Disappointed that I didn't get, I figured if I had 15 pounds, I'd get a check, and I would've, because I fell 6 ounces short of getting a check. So anyhow, that was how it played out. That's some of my thoughts on what's going on. The baits that I caught them on this week, I believe every fish I weighed in, except one, came on that green pumpkin D-bomb with a 1/4 ounce weight, 16-pound sunline, fluorocarbon, skipping it under docks or flipping it into shallow grass. For the docks, some of these docks, I had to raise my trolling motor up almost all the way to get close enough to these docks to skip to. That's how shallow these fish were. The grass fish, they didn't play as well day 2 as it did day 1. Nothing played as well day 2 as it did day 1. But skipping under those docks or flipping to this grass with a deep bomb, whether shallow grass or the deep grass, I could catch them doing that. I caught 4 fish during the tournament on a spinnerbait a Jason Christie Covert Series chartreuse blue and white, 1/2 ounce, and I put a Copperfield color swim bait on the back of there, made by Gambler. Reason I use that particular color is because I thought, well, that's gonna look closer to a yellow perch than any other thing that I have. And the yellow perch were everywhere. And it worked, but I called 3 of those fish of the 4 that I caught on spinnerbait. I had called them with a D-bomb. So the D-bomb was really the key. I think that D-bomb was the same size as those perch, and it was also the same size as a lot of the bluegill that you saw swimming around these docks. So it was you know, something that appealed to the better fish, because the better fish were eating those 4-inch perch or 4-inch bluegill. And so that's kind of the recap of everything that went on. As far as the guys that are still fishing today, it is Saturday right now. They're still fishing the tournament. It's about noon Saturday. They got 2 more hours to fish. So we don't know who's going to win that tournament just yet. But, you know, the guy that I had the first day, my first day partner, Andrew Packard from California, good guy. He got to fish with gray buck day 2. And they caught him shallow, you know, where you could see the bottom. And I caught some fish like that last year. It got blown out. But you gotta have, man, to do that, you know, that's like a 1 fish thing. You gotta have, you know, 30 spots that you feel like you can catch a fish on and run them during the tournament, probably, to make that type of thing work. But you know, I don't think a lot of people were probably doing that, and that's probably sets you apart from the guys that were railroading, following each other, like training around all the humps and points that were on the GPS. So that's my take on Oneida. If I had it to do again, knowing what I know now, I would have tried to find some more shallow smallmouth, because the deep ones just, for me, weren't playing. So I hope you enjoyed my series on this, all my practice videos, this tournament recap, last day video. Again, if you like to follow my content on a regular basis, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the little bell thing so you get alerts, let you know that my new videos are coming up. I'm going to be doing a video series on the Chesapeake Bay Bass Northern Open, which is coming up here the first week in September. That's not my home water, but I fish there, you know, 15 days a year maybe, and have for 30 years. And I've watched it change from, you know, 8-pound limits to 25-pound limits even. On the Chesapeake Bay, in buddy tournaments, me and my buddy Jay Walls over the years have had 2 27-pound 5-fish limit bags and 1 33-pound 7-fish limit bag. So it can put out some absolute hammers. I think probably the first week in September is not going to be its best time, but it's what it is. So again, I thank you for watching, and have a blessed day.